Hi everyone. As it says, my name is Nalini Venugopal, and today I'm going to be talking to you about representation. These are my parents. My dad was born in a town in South India called Venugopal. My mom was born in a town in North India called Kanpur. And these are my siblings and I. My sister and I were born in Olathe, Kansas, and my brother was born in Media, Pennsylvania, 6 years ago. That makes us Indian American. As Indian Americans, we've grown up with a mix of both cultures. Indian culture has been evident in a lot of the food we eat and the clothes we wear, and American culture has bled into many other aspects of our family life, such as holidays. We celebrate things like Thanksgiving, the 4th of July, and of course, Halloween. Now, for the first 4 years that I can remember, I was wearing essentially the same Halloween costume under different names. The first 2 years, I went for the two token brown girls in Disney. They were Jasmine and Shanti from The Jungle Book. After that, my mom got a bit more creative. She said, most of the characters in the Bible probably dressed in something remotely similar to this, so why don't you just wear it again? And I was Esther and Ruth. The last year, I was a generic Indian princess, and that was when I decided I had had enough. After that, my mom let me dress up as a peacock. Now, the reasoning for these costume choices in part came from the fact that my mom just didn't want to go buy costumes for me, but it also came from something deeper. I never really had characters that I wanted to dress up as because I never really saw anyone that looked like me or acted like me. That is, until I watched the show The Office a few years ago. In the show, there's a character named Kelly Kapoor. Now, I didn't really relate to Kelly Kapoor personality-wise. She was ditzy, celebrity-obsessed, and an absolute motor mouth. But she was Indian American, something I had never seen on the screen before. I was shocked to see an Indian character that wasn't defined primarily by her Indianness. This led me to start researching. I found out that Kelly Kapoor was played by a woman named Mindy Kaling. More importantly, Mindy Kaling had actually written parts of the scripts for the show, which highly contributed to the show's accurate and unique representation of the Indian American experience. Mindy Kaling also has other projects, such as her show, The Mindy Project, which is about the life of a female in America. Although her Indianness is somewhat discussed, it is never the main focal point of the show, and it's only discussed when it's pertinent to the plot. Another person who discusses Indian American identity is Aziz Ansari. In his show Master of None, he discusses a lot of social issues head-on, and one of those is his identity as a second-generation Indian American immigrant. It is interesting to see the difference between these two celebrities. But I was curious to see who were the celebrities that were representing Indian Americans beyond TV and movies. I found two. So there's a lady named Lilly Singh, and I was watching her YouTube channel when I was younger. It was because a lot of her skits that she did represented the experience of living in a brown home while in a majority white culture. And that was something that I related a lot to. Now she's expanded her platform a lot, and she's going to be the first woman host of a late-night show in America. Another person is Hasan Minhaj. He is a political commentator and comedian, and I'm interested in him because he's also Muslim, which is a view of Indians that not very many people get, because often they just assume that all Indians are Hindus. He brings this unique perspective to a lot of his political commentary, which he gives on not only American, but also Indian politics. But the bit of representation that shocked me the most was the poet Rupee Carr. Now, in her books, Milk and Honey and The Sun and Her Flowers, Rupee Carr discusses many topics that resonate with a lot of people. She talks about feminism, healing, growth, and just very relatable topics, and that's part of the reason that she's skyrocketed to fame. But I was shocked because when I read it, I found so many poems that I related to in a way that I never had before. She talked about experiences like having parents who were immigrants and came to America, who sacrificed a lot, and I really related to that. She also wrote just about the experience of being brown and feeling different and hearing two different languages, and I was shocked that so many people were being exposed to feelings that I thought I was the only one who had felt. So that got me thinking, why is representation so important to me and so many other people? I came up with 2 reasons. First of all, it's important for the people who are, of course, being represented. This is portrayed very well in one of Rupee Carr's poems. Representation is vital, otherwise the butterfly, surrounded by a group of moths, unable to see itself, will keep trying to become the moth. And that's my first point. If you don't see yourself represented, it can lead to a lot of negative effects. The first and most shallow one is that sometimes if you don't see people who look like you on the screen when you're watching, it can be easy to think that because you're different than them, you're a lot less beautiful. If we don't see proper diversity on the screen, it can be very easy for the beauty standards to become very narrow. Another thing is that often people are represented within stereotypes if they are represented. That's an issue because many people will see that and think that they are only limited to those things. It's hard to visualize yourself as something else when you've been told that all people of your type are meant to do one thing. Lastly, and what I think is most harmful, is that when you don't see yourself represented, it can be easy to just want to fit into one thing. Let's take, for example, Indian American. If you wanted to fully assimilate into American culture, in theory, one could just cut out all Indian parts of oneself. I could say, I don't want any part in Indian culture. And while that would be an easy solution for a little while, I think I would be losing a lot of really valuable things. I would be losing my heritage, my roots, and most importantly, I might be losing connection to my family because they are Indian. The second reason that representation is important is for the audiences who are seeing it. When people are represented, when people are not properly represented, this can lead to the development of stereotypes. Now, some might say, not all stereotypes are bad. I think people would agree that bad stereotypes are bad, but good stereotypes can be sort of debated in some views. I disagree with this. I think that all stereotypes, whether they're good in people's view or bad, can have harmful effects. I've seen this in my own life. In middle school, a boy asked me, "Where are you from?" I told him India, and he responded, "Oh, that must be why you're so smart." While that sounds like a compliment, I was a little bit hurt. When I thought about it, I realized I was offended because him saying that I was smart because I was Indian didn't acknowledge the fact that I as a person was smart. It had simply become an expectation for people of my type to be smart. That's the crux of the issue. Stereotypes turn into expectations. And expectations, when you have them based off something like where someone is from or who they are as a person, are always harmful. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, this talk is about representation in the media. I'm never going to be a director or a screenwriter. Why does this matter to me? And to that I say, you probably will be a consumer. In regards to that, there are a few things you can do. First of all, be conscientious. Remember that the media is there for entertainment, not education. If you've watched a movie from someone's culture, that does not make you an expert. The best thing to do still is to ask them about it. Talk to them. See what they have to say. Secondly, I just want to say, if you think about other people as just that, people, it will open up a whole new world for you. If you think past their culture and where they're from, and don't disregard it, but see it as part of a whole, you can come to a whole new understanding of the world around you. And finally, see it as with the beauty and richness that it has beyond your screen. Thank you.